Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What's going on, guys? It is TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL edition, week 15. Just a couple more weeks left in the season. With me, as always, is the fine citizen and co-host, Mr. Jacob Workman. Jake, how's it going, brother?
Everything's going good. What's going on?
Not too much, man. Not too much. Let's hop right into things. Just to cover a quick recap of last week, Jake finished with an 8-5 record. He missed his lock with Buffalo, also missed his dog with Green Bay. Record for the year is 108-98. I went 5-8. So slide back from my previous week. I missed my lock in Buffalo. I did hit my dog in Seattle. My record for the year is 105-101. So we are both sitting over 500. Jake, anything coming out of Vegas?
So just a few. The best teams against the spread right now, the Broncos and Steelers are both 10-3 against the spread. Chargers and Lions right behind them at 9-4 against the spread. Commanders and Vikings both at 8-4-1. So those are the best teams against the spread. Worst team against the spread. This team has been so close in so many games. Our beloved Tennessee Titans are 2-11 against the spread as the worst team in the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys, a team you know and love, at the place where the glare comes through. They are 1-6 straight up and against the spread at home. The New York Giants this week are plus 14.5 versus the Ravens. That is the biggest home underdog they've been since 1966. In 1966, they were a 14.5 point underdog to who?
What was the year again?
1966. They were in New York. 14.5 point underdog to this team. They lost the game 20-17, so they did cover.
The Lions?
Let's give you a hint. Let's think maybe Tony La Russa and Albert Winnie the Pujols.
So the St. Louis Rams.
They were the St. Louis Cardinals actually at that time.
Okay.
A little bit of little trickeration coming out of
little bit of trickeration there. I had City right.
And then to close out our wonderful Vegas news and notes, we're going to go a little Chiefs related stuff here. One better at BetMGM wagered $250,404, an interesting bet, on the Chiefs to win the AFC West at minus 250 this summer. With their win, they have clinched that, and he did cash the ticket. The Kansas City Chiefs have now failed to cover the spread in 7 straight games, extending their longest non-covering streak under the Kool-Aid Man. That is your Vegas update.
Fumblerooski do. All right. Let's do a quick week 14 recap. We're going to swatch it up a little bit here and just cover these games before we jump into the actual picks. Lions beat the Packers in Detroit 34-31. Steelers beat the Browns in Pittsburgh 27-14. Saints beat the Giants in New Orleans 14-11. The Dolphins beat the Jets in Miami in overtime 32-26.
Hold on a second, Reese. Hold on. We got a comment here. I just want to ask this guy a question. Mr. Sammy Wide Eyes. Are you asking for a first touchdown score of a game this week or just an anytime touchdown score for this week? If you can comment again, we'll reply to you. Go ahead.
There we go. Jaguars beat the Titans in Nashville 10-6. The Vikings beat the Falcons in Minneapolis 42-21. Eagles beat the Panthers in Philly 22-16. Bucks beat the Raiders in Tampa 28-13. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals in Glendale 30-18. Niners beat the Bears in San Fran 38-13. The Rams beat the Bills in Inglewood 44-42 in a crazy game. Chiefs beat the Chargers in KC on the last second field goal 19-17. And the Bengals beat the Cowboys last night in Arlington, unfortunately, on my birthday, 27-20.
What a present. A better draft pick.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens.
They'll probably trade it away.
They'll probably trade it away, exactly.
Hopefully the Lions again.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to replace Demarion Overshown since he's going to be out until 2030. We'll talk about that in a second. Have we gotten our response yet from our guy?
Nope, we're good. Go ahead. Okay. I'll let you know when we do.
All right, sounds good. The Detroit Lions, they have clinched their second straight playoff berth. I never thought I'd say that in my life with their win over the Green Bay Packers on
Calm
Thursday
down.
night. Jake, we've got Big Balls Campbell up here in the graphic. What were your thoughts on that fourth down call?
Honestly, I knew it was coming. I watched him enough to know. Honestly, the crazy thing was Goff was what convinced Campbell to do it. Campbell was wavering back and forth in the timeout. He wasn't exactly sure as to what he wanted to do, and Goff was pretty adamant, like, let's go for it. Let's get it. I think it was smart in that situation. Don't let them have the ball back. Bates has been money this year. I mean, we have the best offensive line in the NFL. Yes, we have injuries, but best offensive line, you need a yard to essentially win the game. Now, when the ball was snapped and Goff tripped, I was not pleased. But he got the
whole pucker there a little bit.
Yeah, he got the handoff. He got the handoff off, first down, sealed it, game over. I mean, what more can you ask for? That is this team. If you watch the Lions and you don't expect that, you haven't watched the Lions. Like, that's what we do. So no problem with the call to me, honestly. And it's not like it was where we were losing in the situation. Like, it was a tie game. So there was a little bit of a win percentage would still be in our favor, even with not getting that. So I think it was huge. Obviously beating the Packers, give it to me every time. I love it. Huge win this week, though.
Yeah, it was a great game. One of a couple. The like I mentioned just a second ago, that Bills Rams game was insane. Really fun game to watch. Chiefs Chargers game was pretty defensive battle. They get that last second field goal. That was their third kicker to kick a game winning field goal this year, which is pretty crazy. And that's so typical Chiefs, just finding ways to win regardless of who's in the uniform.
Yeah, I'm terrified. The Bills losing that game to the Rams really kind of scares me, because that's a team you don't expect to lose back-to-back games. And they are going to be going to Ford Field this week, where we will be having our beautiful black uniforms on again.
Yes. Yeah. One of the better uniforms in the game. All right, let's keep it moving here. The Eagles have also clinched a spot in the postseason with their win over the Panthers on Sunday. That makes it their fourth straight playoff appearance. While the Chiefs clinched the playoff spot 2 weeks ago, they also clinched the AFC West, as we just talked about, with their 19-17 win over the Chargers. Bills safety Micah Hyde has returned to the Bills practice squad. He is going to be retiring at the end of the season. I think it's yet to be seen if he becomes a significant part of this Bills defense here at the end of the year as they move into the playoffs. The Baltimore Ravens suspended wide receiver Deontay Johnson for one game after refusing to enter the Week 13 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, and he is going to miss the Week 15 matchup against the New York Giants. I don't know what's going on with this dude. He just, like, Antonio Brown 2.0. Like, I just don't get it. Like, he just seems to have problems everywhere he goes. Texans outside linebacker Azeez Al-Shahir's appeal for his 3-game suspension has been denied, so he is going to be out until Week 18. For those of you who didn't catch the episode last week, go check that out. Jake and I talked about that ad nauseum, or was it 2 weeks ago? The NFL and the league's player union have agreed to modify the substance abuse policy, increasing the THC level for a positive test. Teams will also be only informed of the penalty in that a violation caused a positive or a missed test. They're no longer going to be notified of the substance that caused the violation. Language around improper use of prescription drugs has also been updated.
Oh, yeah. Another Lions player changing the rules. What a surprise.
Yep. NFL announced the 32 nominees for the Walter Payton Man of the Year honors last Thursday. We're not going to go through that list. You can find that online. We can tweet it after the show as well. Bill Belichick and the University of North Carolina have been in talks to potentially have Belichick move to UNC to take on a vacant head coaching job. Jake, we talked about this a little bit in the NCAA show. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like it. I'd love to see the change of college atmosphere, add Belichick to it, see more of his expertise and basically turning a college program to an NFL feeder program. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I'm very interested in it.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on the other show. Part of me wishes that he would come back just so we can see him break the record. But yeah, I do think it would be a lot of fun to watch him coach college, especially if he can make Dabo lose once a year.
Yeah, unfortunately, he'll probably beat the hell out of my team too, which is a problem. But
well, yeah, that's if the Noles are in the ACC for much longer.
That's true.
NFL players of the month for November have been announced. On offense, we've got Joe Burrow representing the AFC. Saquon Barkley represents the NFC. On defense, we've got the Broncos, Patrick Surtain. We've got Jonathan Greenard on the NFC side. Special teams, we have Jason Sanders and your boy Jake Bates. And rookies, we've got Raiders tight end Brock Bowers, who's been having a hell of a season. And your boy Braden Fisk on the Rams is the NFC rookie player of the month. Hall of Fame wide receiver Randy Moss is stepping away from ESPN for an extended amount of time to deal with a health issue. Moss made his announcement on Instagram from the set of the network's Sunday NFL Countdown show, directing a message to men to go get checkups and blood work done. He did not specify the illness, but we do hope that he can get healthy. Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins is not in danger of being benched for rookie quarterback Michael Penix Jr., despite his recent struggles, per NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. Changes. Yes. Big fan of Penix.
From what Schefter said, Schefter has mentioned that as long as they are within division contention, it will probably not change. But he does think that if there is a moment where they are out, that it will be Penix.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. We're both excited to see Penix on the field. So if 49ers are expected to sign quarterback Brock Purdy to a long-term extension this offseason, despite some of the injuries he's been facing. We just talked about Brock Bowers, the rookie tight end record for most receptions in a rookie season. Only took 1 year to break. Brock Bowers stepped into the number one spot with his last catch in the Raiders' 28-13 loss to the Bucs last Sunday. He broke the record set by your boy Sam Laporta, who set it last year, just a year ago. So that record has now fallen and is owned by Brock, and he's obviously going to add on to that a little bit as the season progresses. Moving into some injury notes, the Jacksonville Jaguars have placed quarterback Trevor Lawrence on IR. He is going to be out for the rest of the season. He was knocked out of the game with a concussion in Week 13 against the Texans. He does plan on having surgery to repair an AC joint injury in the coming weeks. Cowboys right guard Zach Martin, unfortunately, is set for season-ending ankle surgery, and there's a pretty high possibility he is just going to retire at the end of the year. We were kind of looking at that to begin the season. Martin has made the Pro Bowl or an All-Pro team in every season but one in his career, and that was in 2020 when he only played 10 games. In his 11-year run, he has definitely been one of the more reliable and toughest offensive linemen in the league. It'll be shocking if we don't see him make his way into Canton. Eagles have placed tight end Dallas Goedert on IR with a knee injury. They do expect him to return healthy and ready to go for the playoffs. Panthers running back Jonathan Brooks, unfortunately, has suffered a torn ACL in Sunday's loss to the Eagles, making it his second ACL injury in as many seasons. We just touched base on this briefly at the top of the show. Outside linebacker for the Cowboys, DeMarvion Overshown. He was rolled out in the fourth quarter. Didn't look good. I sent a message to Taxis, who, if you guys watch the show, has been on quite a few times and said that does not look good at all. I think this is going to be a long-term deal. Cowboys confirmed today he tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL. It is going to take significant time to recover, and it sounds like he is not only going to miss the rest of this season, but he will also likely miss the entirety of the 2025 season and will not be eyeing a return until 2026. Cornerback Josh Butler has also suffered a knee injury. He's landed on IR, and offensive lineman Ricky Cooper Beebe, who's the center for the Cowboys, he left the game early and is currently in concussion protocol. Raiders quarterback, man, the Raiders are just bad luck on the quarterback side of the things. They've already lost Gardner Minshew for the season. Aiden O'Connell, who just returned from IR, was carted off the field in Sunday's loss to the Bucs. He suffered a bone bruise to his knee. Word is still out on how much time he may miss. It doesn't really make sense for them to bring him back in at this point. I would just try to get through the season with Desmond Ridder. Ridder is probably likely going to be the one to start in their Monday Night Football matchup against the Falcons this week.
Keep improving that status for Shador.
Yeah, no kidding. Saints quarterback Derek Carr suffered a pretty significant fracture in his non-throwing hand in Sunday's win over the Giants. He could also potentially miss the rest of the season. That's another situation where the Saints are going to make the playoffs, so why would you put him out there to risk further injury? Niners running back, the Niners, man, they've just been decimated this year with injuries. Isaac Guerendo suffered a foot sprain in Sunday's win over the Bears. He is considered day-to-day. Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker is waiting on test results to determine the severity of his calf injury. Tampa Bay safety Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to miss a couple games due to a knee sprain that he suffered in the Bucs win over the Raiders. Browns cornerback Greg Newsome is also hitting IR, dealing with a hamstring injury. And finally, Steelers wide receiver George Pickens is dealing with a hamstring injury, and he is considered doubtful for Sunday's matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles, which could be significant. All right. Next up here, let's just take a quick look at the playoff picture before we move into picks. Week 15, not much changed here. There's one change on the NFC side of the equation. The Atlanta Falcons have fallen out of the 4 seed. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have jumped into the 4 spot. I've been talking about this for a few weeks. Watch out for Tampa Bay. I think they're going to continue making a run through the end of the year and then make their way into the playoffs. On the AFC side of the equation, all the same teams are set, but we do have a flip. Baltimore has moved into the 5 spot. The Chargers have slipped down to the 6. So now we have the Ravens traveling to Houston in a rematch of last year's playoff. This year it will be in Houston. And then on the flip side of the equation, we have the Chargers traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. They played earlier this year, and the Steelers did win that game. So it would be a rematch of a regular season matchup. All of the other games have stayed set. So we've got the Broncos traveling to Buffalo to play the Bills, with the Chiefs getting the first round bye. On the NFC side of the equation, the Lions get their first round bye. Minnesota Vikings would be traveling to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers in the wild card round. Packers would be traveling to Seattle to play the Seahawks, and the Commanders would be traveling to Philly in an NFC East showdown against the Eagles. Jake, thoughts on the current playoff picture?
So from what I've seen, the Lions can afford to lose one game and still get the 1 seed. Obviously, Buffalo this week is a huge one. If we can win that one, I think we are in great shape. We do go to the Bears still. The Vikings come to us. So, I mean, there's still a little bit of challenge. Obviously, going on the road to the Bears is not going to be that fantastic because it's going to be shitty weather more than likely, and we're not exactly – well, actually, I'll rephrase it. We normally don't play that well outside in the cold, but things have kind of changed the last few years. The way our team's built, we might be all right in that game, especially with the way the Bears have been looking. But Vikings, I still don't understand that team. I don't think they're good. I think the Bucs would beat them in the first round of the playoffs, especially outside of their home stadium if it's in Tampa. Eagles, I thought Xavier Legette was going to be my fucking favorite player, and then the ball hit the ground. Carolina had a chance to do the unthinkable and help the Lions, and God, it would have been huge. But the Vikings and the Eagles every week have managed to pull through and win games, unfortunately, so we're still in this battle. Packers Seahawks will be fun to watch. I think the Rams do control their destiny, though, in that division. If the Rams win out, they win that division, so that's something to watch out for there. On the AFC side, I like the matchups. I think Denver Buffalo would be a lot of fun. I think that's a good battle. Chargers Steelers, Jesus, that's kind of what you want for playoff football. That would be a great game. And Ravens Texans, yeah, we saw it last year again. That game would be in Houston. That'd be a fun one to start at 2. And then Chiefs and Lions just sitting waiting for whoever the lowest or highest seed remaining would be. AFC or NFC, that would honestly, in my opinion, probably end up being Tampa, because if the Rams get the 3 and Philly stays 2, I think the Rams can win that game, and I think Philly can win that game. So that would more than likely be Tampa. It would be really nice if Washington would upset Philly, though. That would be huge.
Yeah.
AFC side, probably looking at a Chiefs. I think the Chargers could actually win that game. So we might see Chargers Chiefs again, which would be cool. I mean, the NFL playoffs, they're awesome. It's what you look forward to. I think the AFC side is going to be a little stronger than that NFC side, but I mean, it's no slouch. I think that Vikings-Bucks game's a little weak, but Tampa is the only team that's beat us this year, and they beat Philly this year. So obviously they're not a team you can just sleep on, but I mean, we'll know. Well, we're going to know a lot more next week, honestly. The Lions-Bills result is a huge deal when it comes to what's going to happen in the NFC.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting to see that Buccaneers-Lions rematch from last year as well, because that was a hell of a game.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I know you don't want to see it.
I know.
Oh man. All right, let's hop into it here, guys. We are going to get right to it here. Our Thursday night football matchup features the 7-6 Los Angeles Rams against the 6-7 San Francisco 49ers. 8:15 p.m. kickoff at Levi Stadium on Amazon Prime. Over under is 49.5, and the 49ers are favored by 2.5.
Yeah, interesting game here. Rams coming off a huge win at home over Buffalo. The offense was literally unstoppable in that game. They do typically struggle at San Francisco, though, so this kind of worries me. Niners are dealing with some injuries. It's so hard. This is just one of those games when I see it, I just immediately think San Francisco just from previous history. I think I'm going to go on that history still, and I'm going to take the Niners minus the 2.5.
Yeah, LA won the first meeting, show that they can hang around with the best after beating the Bills last week in a high-powered shootout. I think San Fran's still obviously dealing with injuries, so I'm going to take the Rams here plus the points. I don't know if they're going to get it done as far as a victory is concerned, but I'm going to take the 2.5. First of our 1 p.m. matchups is the 8-5 Washington Commanders against the 5-8 New Orleans Saints. 1 p.m. at Caesars Superdome on Fox. Over under is 43.5, and Washington is favored by 7.
Yeah, I love my guy Jake Haener, but with Taysom Hill being out, I think this is a huge deal. I'm going to take the Commanders. 7's a lot, but I'm still going to take the Commanders.
Yeah, Taysom's out. Carr's probably out. They've only scored 14 in the past 2 games. For all those reasons, I'm going to take the Commanders to win and cover here. Next up, we have the 5-8 Cincinnati Bengals against the 3-10 Tennessee Titans. 1 p.m. at Nissan Stadium on Fox. Over under is 47.5. Cincy is favored by 4.5.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier Tennessee is the worst team against the spread in the NFL. They're going to win one of these games, though. I don't know if it's going to be this one. I'm going to take Cincinnati minus the 4.5, but I just can't trust a Tennessee game at all. Like, that's a game I'll never bet because I feel like they could win every single game.
Yeah, it's hard to trust Tennessee, and then it's also hard to trust Cincinnati because you never know what's going to happen with that offense. I think in this situation, Will Levis is fighting kind of a shoulder injury right now. Cincy's offense has been on fire the past few weeks. So I think with all of that said, I'm going to take the Bengals here to win and cover. Next up, the 6-7 Miami Dolphins are up against the 8-5 Houston Texans. 1 p.m. at NRG Stadium on CBS. Over under is 47.5. Houston is favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I'm honestly not big on either one of these teams right now. Houston's really been struggling. I'm not bought into them, and I think that's why the line is so low. I'm going to make Houston have to prove it to me, though. I'm going to take the Dolphins minus the 2.5 here.
Yeah, I'm actually with you. I think this is going to be a fun matchup watching Mixon go up against this run defense because the Dolphins are top 7 or 8 right now in rush defense. They're trying to claw their back way into the playoff hunt. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm not sure who's going to win this one, but I'm going to take Miami to at least cover the 2.5. I'm with you on that. Next up, the 12-1 Kansas City Chiefs go up against the 3-10 Cleveland Browns. 1 p.m. at Cleveland Browns Stadium on CBS. Over under is 45.5. KC is favored by 4.5.
Yeah, I already went against Jake Haener. Now I'm going to have to go against Jameis. I know the Chiefs never cover, but this one just seems too low to me. I'm going to take the Chiefs to get the cover here.
Yeah,
it'll probably be a last-second field goal win.
Probably a last-second field goal win. They won't cover, but the Browns have just been turnover machines the past 3 weeks. 3 turnovers a game the last 3. I think that's enough to make a difference. So I'm with you, though. Despite my best judgment, I am going to take KC here to win and cover. Next up, the 5-8 Dallas Cowboys are up against the 3-10 Carolina Panthers. 1 p.m. at Bank of America Stadium on Fox. Over under is 42.5. And for the first time since December of 2022, the Carolina Panthers are favored by 2.5.
Oh man, there's not a better sight that I've seen this season. The Panthers are a 2.5 point favorite over the Dallas Cowboys.
Such a hater.
Oh, that's a beautiful sight. I'm going to make it worse. I'm taking Carolina. I'm taking Carolina minus 2.5.
I hate you, and I'm taking Dallas.
Good pick.
Next up, the 3-10 New York Jets are up against the 3-10 Jacksonville Jaguars. 1 p.m. at Everbank Stadium on Fox. Over under is 40.5. Jets are favored by 3.5.
Yeah.
Worst game of the week.
Yes. If ass could face ass, it's this.
Kent State versus UMass.
Pretty close. I don't think any of these teams can win by more than 3. I'll take the Jags.
Jacksonville's going to have Mac Jones under center.
Yep.
The Jets should win this. They're going to find a way to lose, but I'm going to take the Jets anyway. I'll take the Jets minus the 3.5. Taking Jacksonville. All right. Next up, we have the 8-5 Baltimore Ravens as they travel to East Rutherford to go up against the 2-11 New York Giants. 1 p.m. at MetLife Stadium on CBS. Over under is 43.5. Baltimore is favored by 14.5.
Yeah, we referenced the St. Louis Cardinals earlier when the Giants did cover the 14.5 against them in 1955, I think it was. I don't know. The 14.5 is absurd. I'll just close my eyes and take the Ravens. I don't. That's a lot. I don't know. That's a lot.
It's a salty spread, and I've been staying away from salty spreads all year, but the Giants are dealing with injuries. They're just overall a struggling team, so I'm going to go Baltimore. I hope Derrick Henry cutting those dreads off gives them a little bit more speed. Last of our early matchups has the 6-7 Indianapolis Colts up against the 8-5 Denver Broncos. 1 p.m. at Mile High Stadium on CBS. Over under is 44.5. Denver is favored by 4.5.
Yeah, the Colts still have an outside shot at the playoffs. Obviously, winning this one's going to go a long way to that, but I just don't think Anthony Richardson's going to be able to do much against this Denver defense. So I will stick with the Broncos minus 4.5.
I am with you. I don't think AR is going to be able to get through this entire game without turning the ball over a couple times. Denver's at home. I'm going to take Denver minus the points. The first of our afternoon games has the 3-10 New England Patriots against the 6-7 Arizona Cardinals. 4:25 p.m. at State Farm Stadium on CBS. Over under is 46.5. Arizona is favored by 4.5.
Yeah, the Cardinals look like pure shit against the Seahawks last week. I picked Arizona last week. I've been kind of high on Arizona this year. I think they're a really good team. But that performance last week changed my mind a lot. I know New England's not exactly the best team, but I think they can abuse their defense. So I'm actually going to take the points with New England here, plus the 4.5.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this. I just have a feeling this is going to be a little bit maybe of a get-right game for Arizona. If this were in New England, I'd be taking the Patriots, but I'm going to take Arizona here to win and cover. Next up, we've got the 7-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers up against the 8-5 Los Angeles Chargers. 4:25 p.m. kickoff at SoFi Stadium on Fox. Over under is 46.5. LA is favored by 3.
Yeah, I think Winfield being out for the Bucs defense is actually kind of big in this one. I'm going to take the Chargers at home. I still think quietly this team's a really good team. I'm going to take the Chargers to cover the 3.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are also a good team, but I also think that the loss of Dobbins has clearly impacted this Chargers offense. And I know that Tampa's dealing with some injuries on the defensive side of the ball, but this run game is looking really good. I just think Baker's going to be able to have enough to get this done. I'm going to take the Bucs here plus the points to get the outright win. Next up is one of the 2 games of the week as the 10-3 Pittsburgh Steelers are up against the 11-2 Philadelphia Eagles. 4:25 p.m. kickoff at Lincoln Financial Field on Fox. Over under is 42.5. Philly is favored by 5.5.
Yeah, I'm so glad they put this one on at the same time as the Lions. That was
wonderful,
fantastic.
wonderful. Yeah, instead we get the Falcons Raiders on Monday night.
Yeah. So obviously I want Pittsburgh to win this game. That's who I will be rooting for. Philly's got some issues going on. A lot of arguing and stuff going on. Just stuff you don't like to see for a winning team. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, this team's 11-2. And you still have shit from the crowd. Like, there's a lot of things not making sense in Philly. Unfortunately, they still win every goddamn game somehow. Like, it doesn't matter what the score is, they win the game. I think 5.5 might be too much, though. So I am going to take the Steelers to cover.
Yeah, this for those of you guys who are not familiar, Brandon Graham was on a podcast a couple days ago and talked about there is significant beef happening between Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. And then you see some videos that have come out where AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are on the sidelines, and they seem to be going back and forth and arguing. Now, whether or not that's AJ Brown just releasing his frustration and talking to Devonta Smith about it, we don't know. Sirianni and some of the other players have already backtracked and said that there's not a problem, but I would call a spade there. Obviously, there's some issues internally. This team, to your point, still finds a way to win on the field. So you don't necessarily have to like each other in order to get the job done. But even with Pickens being out of this game, I still think the spread is too much. The Steelers defense has been playing really well, and Russ has been playing really well. I am taking the Steelers plus the 5.5 here. I'm surprised that they're giving this many points to Philly. Next up is our second game of the week as the 10-3 Buffalo Bills head to Motor City to go up against the 12-1 Detroit Lions. 4:25 p.m. kickoff at Ford Field on CBS. Over under on this one is 54.5. Detroit's favored by 1.5.
Yeah, so I mentioned it earlier. It really sucks that the Bills lost last week. They're just not a team I see losing back-to-back games, though it is back-to-back road spots half road spot. They did have to travel to California last week. Calling it a road game is probably a loose term, but it was a travel site. Now they're traveling to Ford Field. It's going to be insane in there. Buffalo fans do travel well, so I'm sure they'll have some representation, but it's not a stadium they're going to be able to take over like most of them in the NFL. So I just think with our defensive injuries and Buffalo losing last week, I am going to take Buffalo plus 1.5 here.
I definitely take the over in this one. Josh Allen is having an MVP season. He should have a good game against this defense that's dealing with a lot of injuries, but they have to keep pace with Detroit on the scoreboard. And I think the difference maker in this game is Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is going to roll the dice and pull his nuts out and call some play that no other coach in the league would call. And I think it's going to be the difference between a win and a loss. This spread is tight enough. I'm going to take the Fighting Dan Campbells here to win and cover in what's probably going to be. I think this is going to be in the game of the week. We're gonna talk about this one quite a bit next week. But I am going to take the Lions. Our Sunday night football matchup is the 9-4 Green Bay Packers against the 8-5 Seattle Seahawks. 8:20 p.m. kickoff at Lumen Field on NBC. Over under is 46.5. Green Bay is favored by 2.5.
Yeah, to me, there's really, this game to me doesn't really matter. I guess the only benefit is I don't want to see the Packers win, but at least if the Packers win, it keeps the Rams alive if they lose. So there's a little bit of a benefit to that. I still am. Seattle has just not seen. They took advantage of Arizona last week, but I still just don't see it in Seattle. I'm going to take the Packers minus the 2.5 in Seattle.
Yeah, I think Green Bay is a slightly better team from a talent perspective, but Jordan Love's not been playing that well on the road. He's throwing like 56% or something crazy like that. For that reason, I'm going to go with the Seahawks to get with the points to get an outright win. I think they know what's at stake here with the Rams chomping at the bit. You got something funny to share here?
A fellow friend of ours, Chris Overholt, is listening. Sent me a text about our psychological picks we just had with the Bills Lions game.
Wonderful. It's too bad OV didn't tune in to our NCAA show in what was it? Well, I guess it would have been last week. OV, go watch any of our episodes this season and look at the underdog of the week slides. We got a little call there for you, brother.
The Muncie 6-pack slide.
Oh yeah, it's the Muncie 6-pack slide. That's right. Go check out last week's episode and take a look at that Muncie 6-pack slide. Just don't ask for any money. We've got two Monday Night Football games this week. The first is an NFC North battle as the 4-9 Chicago Bears go up against the 11-2 Minnesota Vikings. 8:15 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Over under is 44.5. Minnesota is favored by 7.
Yeah, again, this is another one of those games I don't know what to think about because the Vikings, 7's a lot for the Vikings. They don't typically, they ended up winning by that much last week, but it was a little bit closer at the beginning against Atlanta. The Bears, it's a division game. I'm going to take the Bears plus 7. I know it's not something I'm going to be betting, but I think they can keep it close. Minnesota is the most fraudulent 11-2 team I've ever seen.
We keep saying Minnesota's fraudulent, but they keep finding ways to win games.
Well, they're also playing shit. They're playing teams that suck. That's the thing.
You still got to win. You still got to win games. 11-2 is still 11-2. teams that suck find ways to lose, and this team finds ways to win, even if
teams that are good cover. That's
well, they're still 11-2. They have the same record as the Eagles, which is crazy to me. Do I think they're the same as good as any of those top teams? No, I don't. But they're finding ways to get victories.
They play well at home, and it is at home.
Yeah, and it is at home. I'm going with Minnesota here to win and cover against a Bears team that's struggling this season. Our second Monday Night Football matchup is
this should have been the Simpsons game.
Exactly. Yeah. This is why you should flex games into Monday Night Football. The 6-7 Atlanta Falcons are up against the 2-11 Las Vegas Raiders. 8:20 p.m. kickoff at Allegiant Stadium on ESPN. Over under is 44.5. Atlanta is favored by 4.5.
You know, I see this all the time, and we joke about it on the NCAA edition, how they list Notre Dame as Notre Dame, Indiana, and Allegiant Stadium as Paradise, Nevada, instead of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
Is there some quality city listings that they have there? I'm not too sure about this one. Obviously, the Raiders, to me, I mean, I think it's Shedeur or bust. I don't think they're going to be attempting to win many games. Obviously, they're not going to throw games, but Atlanta is just as bad. I don't know how you can trust them to go in. 4.5 seems like a lot. I mean, this is such a shit game. I'm going to take the Falcons minus 4.5, but I'm not going to be mad if the Raiders win, because if the Raiders win, that means we're closer to seeing the arrow come out on the field, and that's what I'm waiting for. I want to see Penix play. So I will stick with the Falcons as my pick, but I will be rooting for the Raiders to win outright.
Yeah, this is a more difficult game to pick than it should be. Kirk has to get his head out of his ass at some point, right? I mean, he's got 0 touchdowns and 8 picks in the last 4 games. It's just insane to me. Raiders are unfortunately going to have to march out Desmond Ridder, so maybe there's a little bit of a revenge game for Ridder since he was just in Atlanta, but surely the Falcons can get a W here. I'm going to take Atlanta to win and cover.
I never thought we'd be talking about a Desmond Ridder revenge game.
Yeah, that's no
Jesus.
kidding. No kidding. No bye week teams for the rest of the season. So we are locked up on that. Let's move into our lock of the weeks. Jake, who's your lock?
We're locking the Chargers -3 at SoFi Stadium against the Bucks. I still just think the offense will be too much. Antoine Winfield being out is a big deal to me, and I think the Chargers need to win. So I'm going to stick with the Chargers -3 in this one.
We just talked about this game, so I don't have to go over it too much, but I am going to lock in on Minnesota over Chicago. Who's your dog? Psychology, psychology.
Last week, I picked the Packers against the Lions. Lions ended up winning. Let's keep that trend going. I will take the Bills +110 to go into Ford Field and beat the Lions. Whoa, my dog had an issue.
Your dog just died.
I think that might have been an indication.
It's probably an indication of both these damn games, because I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys over the Carolina Panthers. I can't believe the Panthers are the first time since 2022 of all teams for them to be favored over. It has to be Dallas.
+116.
Too many fans that I'm friends with that are Panthers fans. If Dallas loses this game, I'm never going to hear the end of it. I'm talking to Ryan. I'm talking to Andrew. I'm talking to Hollis. All you assholes are never going to let me hear the end of this. I'm going Dallas. Cowboys have to win this game.
It doesn't even matter. They're plus money against the Panthers. That's enough to be made fun of. I don't care who wins.
I know, and I would rather drop down in a draft pick than have to deal with listening to all of these guys give me shit for the next however many years. I don't know when the next but god damn it. Oh man, at least it wasn't. Well, never mind. I'm not going to say it because then I'm going to see it.
Yep, you know what it is. You should have to do that if they lose to the Panthers.
We're not doing a beefy 5-layer. It's not happening.
This is Reese when the Panthers beat the Dallas Cowboys this week.
It is not. No, I am not St. Bill Snyder. Jesus
Christ. Could be. You like Kansas State, so you're close.
Yeah, so it's like Avery Johnson's more likely to not throw a pick than I am to shove a burrito anywhere. Oh my God. All right. That's it for us, week 15, guys. Thanks for tuning in. TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL edition, week 15 picks. Like, share, subscribe for those of you tuned in. We appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week. Be sure to check out our NCAA show. Covered a little bit of the college football playoff upcoming. Next week, we should have a pretty big show. We're going to try to get some guys to join us to go through and pick all of the bowl games. We'll have locks and dogs for both the non playoff and playoff for locks and dogs. So it should be a fun one next week. So tune in. We'll see you guys next week.
See you, everyone. Go Bills.